Welcome to the Y Connect podcast. As the heartbeat of the community, the Y is a connector where people of all ages and walks of life come together to elevate their health, wellness, education, and essential life skills. Hear the stories of impact and join the authentic conversations where together we'll discover the journeys and pathways people take to connect through the Y. Now your hosts, Zarina, Robert, and Allison.
Hi, you guys.
Hello again.
It's good to see you.
It's been a
Feels like
while,
we've been offline for a while. Yeah.
Yeah, we recorded some, put them in the can is what they call that, right?
Great to be back.
I did see Zarina last week. We were playing in the dirt.
That's true.
Last week.
We were, and it was so much fun.
Yeah, tell our listeners about that. That was exciting.
For the
all I'm going to say is I was planting vegetables. That's all I'm going to say.
and I was carrying a lot of mulch. For the ME conference, the multicultural conference for the Georgia Assembly, EA Ware was the host location for the service project that we did. And it was an incredible experience working with several Y family throughout the country. And we worked on the garden, carrying mulch, planting vegetables, pulling out, I guess, dead plants or branches or
weeds, vegetation,
weeds,
trimming hedges.
It was a lot. It was a lot,
and I cannot wait to introduce it to the students. We already have bell peppers growing outside, so we're going to do our best to keep it up. I know we can do that.
That's fantastic. I love that.
We all walked out with a green thumb.
And some dirt underneath your fingernails.
Right.
Wonderful. And while we're talking about service projects, I do need to do a quick shout out to all the amazing Y staff from around the country and here in Atlanta that came out for General Assembly and put together 3,500 school backpacks for four of our local schools here in Atlanta.
That's amazing.
It was incredible.
Yes.
So lots of heavy lifting and fellowship and all for kids to get ready for school.
That's right. Very nice.
All right. Well, we are going to get started today, and we are not talking about back to school. We're talking about one of the, if not the fastest growing sports in the country. I know you guys know what I'm talking about. Pickleball, right? And it should come as no surprise that here at the Y, it has taken off, right?
Yes.
And it brings all the incredible things that we treasure here at the Y. Accessibility, inclusivity, social interaction. It's good for your health, your wellness, and it's multi-generational. So today we have two guests joining us to talk about the pickleball phenomenon at the Y. Ian Thomson, he is the director of Racquet Sports at the Carl Sanders Buckhead Family Y, an avid pickleball player who plays 3 to 4 times a week. Ian has multiple certifications in pickleball from the International Pickleball Teaching Professional Association and the U.S. Professional Tennis Association. He teaches all ages and abilities, and he continues to learn and push the innovations of the sport. Ian is married to his wife, Charlotte. They have 6 kids and 5 dogs. Welcome, Ian.
Wow.
And with Ian, joining Ian is Dr. Michael. Good to see you. Dr. Michael O'Reilly joins us. He is an epidemiologist who loves pickleball. Michael's first job in medicine was cleaning floors in a hospital for retired nuns in a blue-collar Boston suburb at the age of 13. He is a first-generation college student who was awarded a Moorhead Scholarship to the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. He has 15 years of experience investigating emerging infectious diseases in Asia and the South Pacific. In April of 2022, however, Michael took up pickleball. 4 months later, he won the Amateur Pickleball Association's Georgia State Championship for mixed doubles level 3.0. Welcome, Ian and Dr. O'Reilly.
Welcome,
Hello, how are you?
Welcome to you both.
Great.
We appreciate it.
We are so glad to have you, excited to talk about pickleball.
Oh,
honestly,
yes.
honestly.
Look forward to it.
Ready to learn
The
a lot.
phenomenon, truly, the phenomenon is taking over. I've found myself literally watching pickleball tournaments on ESPN or ESPN2. It is. I don't know how to play yet,
Really?
so hopefully I will learn through this conversation.
We got to
but
get
it
you
is
out
a
there.
phenomenon.
Right. Yeah, I definitely don't know how to play yet either, but we have a pickleball court here at EA Ware at the Leadership and Learning Center. So I'm excited to get out there and try. Maybe you guys can help me with that.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yep.
Well, Ian, my first question is for you. How did you first get introduced to pickleball, and what motivated you to become an expert in the sport?
So I started about 7 years ago. A lot of my friends that are tennis pros, we kind of were talking about the sport. And one of the things that happened was we were just kind of talking to some of the pros that we have coached or helped, in different aspects through tennis that were kind of getting into the game of pickleball. And so we kind of picked it up and started practicing, and I fell in love with it. I've always been a lifelong learner. My father is a tennis coach, so I kind of fell into learning from that aspect. And just, if you're going to do something, you've got to be the best at what you do. The game's always changing, so the more that I'm sitting on my hands, the worse I'm going to be. So it's always just been the more certifications that I can learn or what I can do to help push the sport has always motivated me, because I want to be the best that I can and give back to everybody as far as who's wanting to take time to do lessons or play. So just always motivated me to just try that.
Amazing. And if I may ask a follow-up, since you have a background in tennis, how different or how similar are the sports between tennis and pickleball?
They're actually very similar. My tennis game has gotten better because of pickleball. You have a lot of the same reaction time, comes a little bit quicker. The strategy is a lot different, which is what makes the game a lot more fun. So as far as playing the game, you can have a physical difference in tennis. Pickleball, you're the smarter player. So it's a lot of fun, just the fact of more like a chess game that you play. So.
Strategy. I love it.
Yes,
I like it.
Absolutely.
So my question is going to be for Dr. O'Reilly. What initially attracted you to pickleball, and what made you decide to give it a try?
Well, I had actually played a couple times when RY had indoor on the basketball court pickle, but I didn't really stick with it then. It wasn't until about a year and change ago, maybe April of 2022, and a friend had asked me a few times to play, and I came out, and we were really coming out of COVID limiting activities and limiting the activities that you were able to do with groups of people, and so it was just a joy to be outside playing with really nice people, getting to know people, and just enjoying that sports outside with other people from the context of prior COVID kinds of limitations.
Gotcha. Well, thank you.
It was an answer to that isolation that we felt.
Yeah.
It really
and pickle
was.
is inherently a social sport. So you can't play a game without, even the tensest, most competitive game, you're laughing a quarter of the time with guys on the other team, people on your team. It's just really, you can't help, if you're not having fun, you're not doing it right.
Uh-oh.
I love that philosophy.
Personally,
I love that philosophy.
My father has been an avid tennis player his whole life, but his knees started giving him trouble. And so he had to have one knee replacement surgery. He needs another, but he won't do it because he wasn't a very good patient in PT. But he's taken up pickleball, and it has given him what he's been missing from the game of tennis. So I've really seen that in him. I'd love to ask you, Ian, could you describe what is the overall experience of pickleball look like at the Y? How does one get involved, and what does it look like?
Yeah, so we have a lot of different aspects of how to get involved. We have a GroupMe app that we have with about almost 200 members now. So everybody will just get on there and go, hey, we've got a court at this time. We'd love to get together and play. We have multiple clinics that are offered throughout the week and the weekend. We're actually about to bring in some more certified pros to help increase the amount of clinics that we're doing. We have 4 open play days that are just show up and come play. There's on average about 30, 35 people that come out. So we have all the courts going and 8 to 10 people sitting, waiting on deck to play. The great thing about it is we've done beginner clinics, and as soon as we get done with the clinic, people are walking off the court, and it's just amazing because people are playing going, hey, why don't y'all come play with us? And they're like, we just took our first lesson. They're like, oh, we'll teach you. No worries. No problem at all. And just that inclusivity aspect of things has been just so amazing. And it's really helped grow the game. And the fun part to see is now we're getting the younger generation. So we're getting a lot of 20, 30-year-olds play, and a lot of families that are like, hey, we can't get on the court with tennis players because our kids are 8 or 9. But they can all come out and play pickleball because you can become very competent within 20 and 30 minutes of playing pickleball, which tennis, it's going to take a long time. So that's one of the drawbacks sometimes of tennis. So, but yes, so It's been a fun aspect. Yes. So.
Can I ask you a follow-up question? I've taken one pickleball lesson, and I used to play tennis growing up. So I had that frame of reference, but describe what is the kitchen, the term the kitchen, and you don't want to hit a ball when you're in the kitchen, correct?
Correct. So the kitchen is the term for it is the non-volley zone, but everybody calls it the kitchen. So as the rumor is, you stay out of the kitchen. So same principle in pickleball. It was developed over since it was founded in 1960s. They have tried to make it a sport that people could play for a long time. When they first started the game, there used to be serving and volleying. They've changed it where you have to let the ball bounce twice. But the kitchen aspect is in tennis, you try to get on top of the net. Points would just go way too short, and that's not what the game was about. So they've limited that zone in the front of the net so you can't in points as quickly as possible. So there is some, like I said, the strategy of the game has gotten involved thanks to staying out of the kitchen. So it's been a great addition to the game. So, yes.
Thanks. Great explanation. I like that.
Allison, you didn't spend much time in the kitchen, did you?
I was confused because I was so used to doing those shots, those quick shots that I put at the end, and it definitely ends the game quickly.
Very nice, very nice. Dr. O'Reilly, in what ways has playing pickleball positively impacted your physical health and overall well-being?
Yeah, that's a big question for me. When around the time that my partner and I entered that state tournament, which was our first tournament ever, I was playing a whole lot, and I was in the best shape I'd been in for about 15 years. And it was just a joy to go out and play pickle, and I was playing a lot. A month after that, I had a stroke, and it was unrelated to pickle. I had a genetic problem that led to my stroke, but I think pickle, within, say, 3 days after my stroke, I actually wrote a post on our group chat saying, we got to appreciate this wonderful community that we have, and I'll be back. Mm-hmm. And just the welcoming, the community. I mean, I had 3 or 4 people drive me to therapy appointments. I had everybody really help me back. I had a good friend took me on as a Pilates student, and she, one day, we were in Pilates, and she wanted to go out and see a game. It was just 2 or 3 months after my stroke, and I said, okay, but I had my paddle with me, and I started playing. And so then the notion, when I went into the hospital, they said, what are your goals? And I said, play competitive pickleball again.
Right.
And, I'm playing competitively again. And the support that I've gotten from this community, and the welcomeness, and, people who didn't know me before, it is a sport where I still have a disability, but I can play, and the mental health aspect as well, because post-stroke, your attitude's very important. And I know that pickle and my pickle friends and my pickle community have really helped me a lot in that regard.
Oh, that's wonderful.
It really is. I salute
Thank
you for that.
for sharing that.
Yeah.
My
Wow.
goodness. And it really does speak to that community that you're talking about, the togetherness and that camaraderie. It's incredible.
Yeah. And so my question will be for Ian. So Ian, as I understand it, you sit on a committee of coaches in tennis and pickleball that analyzes and studies strategies, techniques, and coaching fundamentals to see if there are some new ways to enhance the game. Can you tell us more about this work and what you've discovered as a result?
Yeah, this actually started, I was coaching a double specialist on the pro tour for in tennis, and they started to let singles rankings come in and use the singles rankings for the doubles play. A lot of our players started to lose matches. So we actually, a group of us got together to start figuring out ways to allow our players to continue to win matches and stay on the tour. So it just kind of came like as a group that got together of just a bunch of coaches. And so we all sit on all different certification groups. And so we'll get together and just put out a lot of different studies that we'll use. And we've partnered with different, schools to help with the studies and different facilities to do everything. But it's how we can help elevate the game. We miss on some marks. We've been just behind the curve where they were already implementing stuff. One of the big changes we've made for pickleball is there's called a third shot drop. So in the pickleball, you serve, the ball has to bounce to a receiver. They hit the ball back and it has to bounce. And because the returners get only the first bounce, they can get to the net faster. So the drop is supposed to be to allow a serving team to get to the net and have at least a tactical advantage to stay in the match and not get caught on the baseline. And so the drop originally was a very high arcing ball that would fall in. And a lot of players, especially getting started, have trouble with that. So there's become the modern drop, as we call it. And it's more of a line drive drop that you hit more towards the player's hips. It allows you to get in quicker, but it also is a ball that most players can hit better. And so a lot of players are starting to really enjoy that, not only at the rec level, but some of the players as well have implemented that. But we just take all of our data and all our findings and we go to all the associations and just say, hey, have you looked at this? What do you think on this? And like I said, a lot of times they're just like, that's not going to really change the game. And we've had multiple things that have come in. But like I said, it really started from coaches just not wanting to get fired from their players, from the double specialists losing out to singles players. It's really out of the necessity that we started this whole committee. And people can come and go as they want. But anybody comes in with an idea, we just test it and, submit the data and then let the organizations decide what they want to keep or not. So that's kind of, like I said, where we got it all from.
We really have a national expert at the Y. It's pretty cool, Ian, having you within our ranks.
I promise you, I was sitting there thinking the same thing. Like, Ian's true coach. He sounds like Nick Saban of pickleball. You are truly a coach. You are truly a coach. The terminology that you use, and I was like, wow, that's okay.
Yeah, we'll try to do so. Hopefully we know what we're doing sometimes. So that's the goal.
And I was also wondering, Ian, what's the youngest age you recommend to start playing pickleball?
So I've actually had 3 and 4-year-olds come out. About 5 or 6, they're going to have a little bit better control of the paddle, so probably 5 and up. We're actually going to start a junior coaching in the fall at the Buckhead Y for 5 and up for our pickleball training. So we're in the middle of building everything in spirit as we speak. So, but yeah, that's where we're going to start. And, when kids get to be teenagers, it's hard for them if they haven't really gotten far in tennis to have something, especially if they're looking at colleges and stuff like that. And there's a lot of movement towards maybe making it a college sport for pickleball, which is why we know the growth is getting there. And even the Olympics are discussing putting it in as a Olympic sport. We're still a few years away. It's not like immediate, but that's why when everybody's like, oh, this fad's going away. No, it's not going away. It's here to stay. And the growth of the game and just the inclusivity, it's going to be around. So we look forward to all the big changes that we're going to see in the future.
Oh, that's awesome.
Excellent.
Fantastic.
And I have one quick question for you, Ian.
Sure.
One quick question. As we continue to grow this particular branch and as we move through our renovations, starting next year, once everything is completed, will you be offering some kind of coach to coach or trainer trainer type things as we bring in?
Yes.
Okay. Excellent.
Yeah, we've had several that we've already done. Summit has gotten stuff going. We've got McCleskey that has coaching now. I know Eastlake is doing it. Covington is doing it. And then there's several others that are in the process, like Kenton. We've done a few clinics up there. And so we're going to do a lot more trainings as well. We're not sure if I will be traveling to each of the branches to do an in-house type training. I know I'm at the association tomorrow to help just go do a class with some of the staff there.
Yeah. At 5:30. Can't wait.
Yep. Absolutely. Yes. So I will definitely be there for that. Yep. For sure. So yes,
I was walking through Eastlake last week in the middle of the day, and the gym was packed with people in the middle of the workday. People playing pickleball just in the middle of the day. The hours that you see people in our Y has changed so much dramatically since the pandemic because of remote work. It's really fascinating. So I have a question for Dr. O'Reilly. You spoke of your stroke and how pickleball was a part of that recovery for you. I'm curious to know if you've had any challenges or obstacles with pickleball, and then conversely of that, what do you love most about the sport?
Yeah, wow. How long is the podcast? So the challenge, the mobility with the stroke, my mobility is still impaired, and in a way that's the obvious answer, but it's interesting because often when I'm playing now, my biggest challenge I find is being mentally tuned in, because when I started, I didn't understand the game. But then once I got some training from Ian and one of his colleagues, I understood better what I needed to do. And to be honest, having the challenges with the stroke has in some ways advanced my game in other areas, because I need to be more attuned to anticipating what the other person's going to do, to thinking about placement more, and to understanding how to move the other side, how to move the players around on the court. So in a way, it's being, focused mentally. But I think the biggest challenge for most people, and it was for me when I started, you start out and you're just smacking the ball. But the game is not that. The game includes the soft game, the dinks and the drops. And when you first start to incorporate the soft game, the competitiveness of your pickleball game regresses, but you got to stick with it. And Rhonda O'Gorman and I, when we won that tournament, we won because we followed our coach and we stuck with, even when we were missing some dinks and drop shots, we said to ourselves, we're going to try to play true pickle and stick to the fundamentals of the game. And that's what we did. But what I love about pickle the most is absolutely the community. I mean, in the past 2 weeks, I've played with somebody from Nigeria, 2 people from the Philippines, somebody from Haiti, a guy from Belgium, a guy from Germany. I've played with 2 women from the Virgin Islands who are former professional women's athletes who are spectacular players. And someone who, comes from Brazil originally. So I've got, when I play with someone from Antarctica, I'll have covered all the 7 continents. And it's people from their 20s to their 70s. It's really interesting folks. We have folks who came up. There's a good friend of mine. He grew up really, really, struggling in Cleveland. And then we have people from really prominent families. We have someone who was, a Sports Illustrated swimsuit model, who is our social chair of our group. We just have interesting and thoughtful people from every imaginable background. And it's a joy to get to know them and to be able to be outside having fun with them.
Yeah.
You beautifully described that. It almost seems like pickleball might be the answer to all the polarization that's happened in our country. Like maybe if people played more pickleball together, we'd all get along better.
That's what it sounds like.
Yep.
It really does.
Incredible.
It really does. Well, gentlemen, we have come to the close of our episode. And this is the part that we enjoy the most, when we have an opportunity to hear you share your story, your path to the Y, how you first got connected to the Y. Whichever would like to go first.
I guess I'll start. It's actually funny. Growing up, one of my friends who was a little older than I was took lessons from my dad, Randall Knox, was a pro here. And as I was leaving Medlock Bridge as director and looking for a different opportunity, Joe Ambler was the director at the time and felt I was overqualified for coming in. And of course, Randall was like, absolutely not. We want him here. He needs to be here. And it was off of his recommendation almost, I guess, a little over 10 years ago that I got hired on and have just stayed with the Y because of the mission and the passion and just seeing all the stuff that we do, not only from the after school kids, but also from just every aspect. Like we have Camp Boomerang that we take care of, which is near and dear to my heart because my 19-year-old has autism. So for me to be a part of Special Pops and the Jackson Creative that I've always been on the boards and worked with, it's just another avenue of what the Y can do and how it touches so many in the community. And so everybody was like, man, you just really love being here. And I'm like, absolutely. I just don't see myself being anywhere else. I love the Y and love what we stand for and just love being a part of what we do every time. So I got lucky that Randall was around to get me a foot in the door to let me be here and let me continue to grow with the organization.
Amazing.
We truly are appreciative of that too as well.
That's right.
Thank you.
So glad.
Yep.
Thank you.
Dr. O'Reilly?
Well, I had been a member of a Y about 20 years ago in another part of Atlanta, but I moved to Asia for 12 years. And when I came back, I joined this neighborhood Y briefly, but then we got some equipment in our basement and I thought, I may not need the Y, but then when I started playing pickle, I joined again. When I officially rejoined the Y, it was a remarkable coincidence. This guy had come in and he was either joining or updating or something, and he and I were sitting next to each other. And I noticed the guy was having a little trouble walking, and I said to him, hey, you're looking good out there. I was just chatting with him, and he shared with me that he had had a stroke and that he was recovering from a stroke at the Y. And so, sorry. When I came back, it was just one of the reasons that the Y was so welcoming to me was because I remembered that guy coming in and meeting him, and it was really nice.
Yeah.
A true testament that it's about the people at the Y. It really is. Both Ian's story and your story really speaks to that.
Yeah. Thank you guys for being so open and sharing with us. Thank you.
Thank you for having us. We definitely appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. And thank you for your passion for pickleball because, it's kind of a big deal. Ha, ha, ha. A big deal. I had to say it.
Oh, yes.
You got to try it. Just go out there, play 3 times, and you'll be addicted.
Oh, wow.
For sure. Yes.
Oh, thank you guys so much.
Thank you for joining us, guys.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Y Podcast. To continue the conversation or to find your closest Y, please connect with us at ymcaatlanta.org and sign up for our newsletter, Healthy Together.
Thank you.